Today we're going to build this, which is a 3D printed Moonphase watch. If you're new here, I'm James from the Printable watch. I design and develop watches that can be 3D printed by you at home. So far I've released the V1, the V2, the N1 and also the Digituino, which is a digital watch. So far all my existing designs have been based on existing watches. I've taken inspiration from how traditional watches are built. But with this Aries Moonphase watch, I've decided to start completely from scratch, taking on everything I've learned over the past couple of years and really built it from the ground up. It features a tri-layer design where the case is broken down into a bezel, a central body and a case back, which is all then bolted together from the front and the back, which makes it a lot easier to open, maintain and modify. It features the Miyota 6P24 Moonphase movement, which is a proper Moonphase movement. It is quartz, but you're going to thank yourself for going quartz when you come to setting the time. But we're going to jump down to the bench now. Let's download, hit print, and build this watch. So here we are with all the 3D printed parts we're going to need for the build. We've got the case assembly, so we've got the centre part, we've got the back, the bezel and the movement holder, as well as the dial and the chapter ring. I like to play with the colours for the dial and chapter rings. I've printed them in kind of every colour that I've got, but for this one we're going to stick with the orange and the white to kind of go with the rebranded colours of the printable watch. So these are all our 3D printed parts. We also have a crystal press, which is just going to aid us getting the crystal in the watch. And there's also a crown to print. But as you can see, I'm reusing a stemming crown from an existing build just to make it a little bit easier. The first step is, of course, to fit the crystal into the bezel. So let's start with that. So I'm going to move all these to the side and we're going to start with this. So I just like to give it a little visual inspection, make sure it's kind of clear from any sort of stringing or anything like that. Anything like that is just going to get in the way of the glass getting in. So I just like a sharp knife, just run around the edge and just, because anything that's in there is just going to be compressed and it's just going to get in the way. So we kind of give that a good clear out. Okay, so I think we're all good there. The glass or the crystal choice for this new build is a little bit bigger than the existing watches. We've gone for a 32 by 1.2 mil glass. It's a little bit thicker and it's a little bit bigger. Sometimes you can just see there's a slightly beveled edge on one side of the glass. If you can see that, great. Try and get that in first. It's just going to help you get it in the watch. And then we're going to use the crystal press just to stop us pressing it with our fingers, and it's just going to push it in like that, and it should be a nice friction fit. There we go. Shouldn't have to give it too much force. If you are finding you're giving it too much force, all I recommend doing is reprint this part but scale it either up or down. Just by 1% will make a massive difference. It should be in there snug, shouldn't be dropping out, but you also shouldn't be forcing it in because you risk misshaping the print or smashing the crystal. So it's a really quick part to print, so just reprint it. So we're going to leave that upside down, straight in there, and again this should just be a nice friction fit. We shouldn't be forcing it, just make sure it's just snugly in there. Shouldn't fall out. This is a Miyota 6P24 Moonphase. So unlike some cheaper Moonphase movements or movements that call themselves Moonphase, this actually has a real Moonphase complication. This disc here basically spins once. Well, it shows you a new full moon every 29.5 days or whatever it is. And then we're going to install it into the case. So I like to kind of go this way. There we go. So now I've got the movement in the case and it's all lined up. So the next stage let's install the dial. This is possibly the easiest dial you'll ever install. It's self-centering with these tabs either end of the watch. There's no little feet to pick off. And then we'll install our chapter ring. So I've gone for this orange, which is a filament I am absolutely loving at the moment. I think it's a Creality one. There we go. That places straight in there, like so. And then we can move on to everybody's favourite bit, the hands. So if you haven't installed hands before, I'm going to give you a few tips. So from your hand pressing set you get with a kit, or the one that I sell on my website, we're going to start with the black one for doing the hour hand. So we're going to pick up the hand with this clay, and we're going to align it to 12 o'clock. And then you want to be looking directly over the movement and kind of using both hands at the same time. Line it up and just give it a little press. You don't need to press it too hard, just enough. There we go. And we're just going to make sure that's level so you can pick it up. I'm happy with that. And then we're going to repeat the same with the minute hand, but this time we're going to use the black tip on the silver presser, and we're just going to do exactly the same. Using the two tools together, and you want to align it exactly at 12 o'clock. So I can see there the minute hand is lifting up a little bit. So we're going to use just this tool, and we're just going to try and level it out. Just make sure the chapter ring is in fully, otherwise it's going to clash with the hands. There we go. Okay. Might not be perfect, but I'm happy with that. And then finally, the one which everybody hates doing is the seconds hand. Now, on the end of there's a very, very small tip. In fact, I'll show you on got this very small tube at the end, and that's going to slot onto a pin. You don't have to get this too accurate, but try and line it up with one of the hour markers. And for this one, we're going to use the white tip. There we go. And it should just go on without too much friction. And our movement is running here, so it has just started straight away. I'm now just going to pop the crown in. There we go. And this is just going to give us an opportunity to wind the hands round and make sure we haven't got any clashes anywhere. It is a hacking movement, so if you pull out the crown, the second hand will stop, and that's it. Now the beauty of this movement is, if you now wanted to change this orange chapter ring, you can. I would move the minute hand so it's in between two markers, and stop the seconds hand when it is two, and this whole chapter ring does just pop out like so, and you could swap it with a different one. But I'm going to stick with the orange because that's what I wanted to build. Let's put that back in there. And that is our movement assembly. Now let's move to getting the case back and the crystal on the watch. So the whole watch is held together from the top and bottom with this kind of clamping assembly. We've got the main body, and then we've got the bezel and the case back, and we're going to nut and bolt that whole assembly together and compress the whole watch together, causing a seal. And for this, I've gone again with something a little bit different to standard. I've gone for the M 1.6 by 10 millimeters. And I've gone for this little hex head, just something a little bit different to the normal screws that we use. So I recommend taking your bezel, and we're just going to place it on top, and it should just seal and sit quite nicely like that. Now, it will only sit in 2 out of the 4 orientations. This radius here is different to this radius here, ever so slightly. So just spin it around and just make sure you can see all 4 holes. Like I said, it will only work in a couple of the orientations, so if it doesn't fit, that's probably why. And then we're just going to start placing these bolts all the way through. And they should just slide in nicely like so. Yeah, there we go. So it will not go that way. Let's spin it right round. So here's our case back, which should just clip in nicely. Okay, so the case back should clip into the movement bracket like so, and it should all stay as a single assembly. So now take your 1.5mm hex driver, and before you even put a nut in, just tighten it down, and it's just going to seat the bolt into the bezel. There we go. These bolts are exactly the right size for the job, so if they're not all the way through, you are going to have problems getting them to fit. And now we're going to take the nuts, which again are obviously M1.6, and they just sit in the case back like that, just enough so that once you start tightening this up, it'll grab and it will just start tightening up. So I'm going to go around and do all the rest of these, and then we can decide what strap to put on. There we have the finished watch. I do love this new shape. Like I said, I did want something completely unique, and I hope I've achieved that. All that's left to do now is to put a strap on, and then we can start wearing this thing. So again, one thing I have kept standard is the 20mm strap width, which there's loads of straps to choose from. But for this I've gone for a bit of a one-off, and I've ordered a nice suede leather strap, which I think looks great. So it really was as easy as that. I've been building watches on and off for the past 2-3 years now, and this really is the easiest watch that I've ever built. And I'm not just saying that, I really hope you get a chance to have a go at making this. And the best bit is you can go back and quickly swap out parts, like I showed you with the chapter ring. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you're going to give this watch a go. It is available now on my website, theprintable.com, and on there I've got all the parts you're going to need, and even a kit, so you save a bit of money if you buy it all together. If you do have a go building it, please do tag me on Instagram, join the Facebook group or the subreddit, whichever one of those you fancy. I do love seeing what you guys are making, and it just really means a lot to see people take it on and modify it in their own way. But for now, that's all we've got time for, sadly. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Happy printing, and I'll see you in the next one. Ooh, one last thing. I'm actually going to be going to Manchester Watch Show next month. It's on November the 8th. In Manchester, obviously, here in the UK. I know I've got an international audience, but any of you in the UK that are attending this, do let me know, either on Instagram or drop a comment below. It'd be great to meet up with some of you there. I'm going to be taking some of my watches with me, so you can have a look and have a play, see what you think, and yeah, it's going to be great to go there. There's a lot of big brands going, there's a lot of people I can't wait to meet, so yeah, if you're going, do let me know.